Hi everyone, welcome back to Studioloo. It's Cindy. I'm here today with a flip through of my Radiant Tree journal. So this is the third in a series of 3 tree themed journals that I've completed. If you're seeing this video, this will be posted in my Etsy shop. And so this journal is a lot of fun. It's a really nice 1937, I think, book, and I on the most part left the cover as it is. I didn't add a lot to it. I quite like the way that it looks. I think it's very fitting for a tree journal. The cover, the front cover, I left the Radiant Tree as it was on the book, but the rest of the book needed a little something. So I've stitched on this large leaf behind a piece of art that I created for the book. This is a blackwork drawn and watercolor painted tree, and then I collaged in the background on the watercolor paper some 1700s book page from a super old book, and it's just collaged on there. Then I stitched around everything, put it onto like a book plate, what's the word I'm looking for, like a thicker cardstock, that's the word I'm looking for, so to give it a little bit of a rise. And then I used some clear embossing powder to give it a nice finish. Then it's been punched in the front and back covers with bronze eyelets, and the closure is with this nice green, deep green seam binding. This is a 5 signature journal. It has a hidden hollow back spine, and it's got a nice profile with fun fabric tabs and leaves coming out the side and up top. So let's hop into it here. So at the front, I've used 49 in market paper, which is one of my favorite papers, for the end papers and for this pocket here. And inside, on the book plate of the Radiant Tree, I've added this lovely tree man, and it's backed with some handmade paper. And I've also included this beautiful big ghost leaf to just kind of accompany him. That could be glued onto a piece of paper if you wanted to, but I just wanted to keep it in there. So here is the first page of The Radiant Tree and Other Stories by Temple Bailey, and I added a chestnut leaf there. And here's the copyright 1934 by Temple Bailey. Then we have this tree tuck spot here that has this little tag in it of these lovely tree fairy folk. This is from the paper cameo on Etsy. Some stenciling. You'll see stenciling on the white pages throughout this book of different leaves, and the paper in here is all my hand dyed paper in this beautiful shades of green. This is like a little pine cone lined piece of paper. I won't mention what digitals I've used in here because I kind of plucked like one of this and one of that out of my massive collection of digitals. I've stitched leaves down the sides of many of the pages. Some stamping here. And this is from a tree identification book. It had all of these beautiful illustrations, and I thought they could be fun to color or paint. So I just sort of left those pages alone. This is a pretty digital page that says, "Trees are like friends. They are always there when you need them." And some stenciling. This is a really beautiful vintage napkin. This is some sumac, and this is a little tuck spot for this tree journal card. So that just pops inside here. And then this is from a vintage tree book from Golden, and this is the black locust and horse chestnut trees. And over here, this little pocket trees and how to paint them, the ash tree, and another little tag from the paper cameo. And then that's the other side with the lovely embroidery of the acorns and the oak leaves, stenciling and a fabric tab, and then this beautiful digital back here, and some more of my dyed paper and that lovely tree identification book. Stitched a yellow leaf on the side here. This says Thoughts and Notes, and it's just sort of a light stationery page with a tree in the background. I wanted this book to kind of tell a few different tree stories, and so this is one of them. This is a large kind of double journal card with packaging paper on back to write on. And this is a beautiful picture from an old children's book. And there's just this tree man here, stick man, and all these birch trees in the background, and this lady with her pig. She's like telling the pig to get the tree man, and it has little mushrooms. It's a lot of fun. And it is on a hand-dyed piece of paper. And then we have more stenciling on the other side here. This is just a rusty paper clip that holds that in place. Another tree digital page. This is a pocket with a leaf, and in there's a page of the original book. And inside we have this tag. So on back is writing space. This says Tender Bark of Trees. And this is a beautiful little lily of the valley tuck spot that I made with a die that I got from Global Land. And what I did with this, I thought this was kind of a fun idea. So it's from a tree ID book, essentially. So this is the tree. It's and then this is what grows on the tree, essentially. And then that just pops in the pocket there. So journal card inside a tag. And then this is a tuck spot with another tree. And this says My Thoughts. And this is from a vintage card, essentially. It's a digital of a vintage card. And then I've ruffled this leaf and stitched it on top of this tree page. And more stenciling and tree identification paper. This is an envelope that I dyed green and added this label here with a fern. And inside we have a tree journal card. And then on this page it says, One touch of nature makes the whole world kin, William Shakespeare. And we have a birch tree there. Some more stenciling and the honey locust tree, Kentucky coffee tree, which I only learned about this past year, that these are like native to where I live, and like they grow all over the place here, and I'd never even noticed them before, but they're really interesting trees, and you can actually make coffee with their big giant beans that are inside the pod. There's kind of a way to do it, but it's really interesting. This is another hand-dyed page with a tab at the top. This is Psalm 1:3. This is a digital page and has this leaf here. Then this is a double spread that I did. It has woodland down here. And kind of some layering going on. If you watched my video for Junk Journal July, what day was it that I did this? Tucked away. So yeah, it's kind of like multiple tuck spots. So I added a tree, added this here. This is all watercolor paper. There's a foreground kind of in a background. This says the world is as wide as the sky and beyond, and as infinite as the twinkling stars. And then this tag has a sweet little bird on it with a leaf up top. That just tucks on in here. And then this one is another journal card. It is a fine divine wind that carries a tiny seed just so and takes it to the very place where friendship needs to grow. It's got these beautiful maple seeds here. Another leafy page, and this says the hollow of a nearby tree, or hollow rather. And this is a little pocket here of the Seagark hickory, and then buckeyes, information on buckeyes back there, and then this is of the lote or nettle tree. It's a lovely, this is cut out of a book. Journal card, and there's the buckeye, some more stenciling, foliage of the red oak. This is the other half of the envelope, and I've added a little oak tree there. And this is one of my little journal cards that I make from the little collections of things that my daughter brings me. We have a maple seed and a little stem of yellow flowers and some itty bitty leaves. And on back is some handmade paper for journaling. Oh, and it's made with an old postcard back. There's the pine tree. This little bird tuck spot is on watercolor paper. and has this journal card inside. And you can see some of that illustration paper behind from the Tree ID book. Let's tuck that back in here. More stenciling, a stitched on leaf. Trees are poems that the earth writes upon the sky. And then this is an authentic 1950s photograph of this lady. She looks kind of shivery standing in front of this big tree. And then there are tree illustrations behind her, and this is a little set of hands picking these little leafy tree bits. And over here we have one of my laminated, this is from the paper Cameo. It's a frame that has ivy wrapped around this heart sort of wreath, and inside are some maple seeds, the beautiful pink ones. And then this is a bird's nest. Got some babies in there, and you can see them right through that little hollow in the pocket. And then this is more of the illustrated tree book. And then this is a really nice little vintage illustration from a tree book. And then this lovely tree journal card. More hand-dyed paper. That's actually watercolor paper. And this is a fun digital page of some tree postcards. And just white on back, and I've clipped on this piece of stationery that I made of these lovely donkeys walking under this pretty tree. I just thought they were beautiful, so I included them because I think that there's room for donkeys anywhere because they're always just beautiful, especially the ones with the white faces. The serviceberry tree, American hornbeam, some more stenciling and stitched on leaves. And this is the center of the signature, just a beautiful tree. Big tooth aspen, cottonwoods, more dyed paper and some stamping. More of those tree postcards and a Victor Hugo quote. Love is like a tree, it grows of its own accord. It puts down deep roots into the whole being, our whole being. And then this belly band with the faraway tree was magic. This was from one of my Junk Journal July projects where I smooshed some fun paint on top of this tree. And this is a double-sided beautiful journal card with maple seeds and other leaf bits. And then this basket of greens and things here on this tree illustration. This is a jelly print that I did with some maple seeds, with some nice bright greens, just a pop of color. I felt like it was a fun pop of color in this journal. And then some little baby birds here in a tree with their mom sitting nearby. And then we have another fun digital page back here with another quote and that beautiful text. And then this is sort of my more cold wintry looking tree with some thread stitched up top and this tag. Some more fun stenciling and dyed paper with a tab, the pin oak, the scarlet oak, another lovely digital page with trees and some leaves that have been stitched on. I also just pulled a few little book quotes out of the original book, and this says, "There's a whole life before you, my lamb, and you've got to make your happiness." And this is a journal card that I made from my Belle Verte collection of digitals that are in my shop as well, and I just thought she was really lovely in here. There's some fun blue ink on back and lots of sort of layered collaging going on behind her. And that's held on with a rusted paper clip. More of the tree illustration book. And dyed papers. This is one of my laminated pockets that has an actual bit of plant inside. It's been laminated inside. This is a tag that I made. It's got some of my eco-printed fabric on top and some ginkgo leaves and one of my little girls here. In a pixie wood where the sun shines gold, hid in the moss, and instead of flowers were toadstools yellow and toadstools red, and a bird's nest hung by the path ahead. That's just a little tag, and when you pop it inside, you can still see her peeking through the window. Stitched on leaf here. Dendrophile, someone who loves trees and forests. Sugar maple, black maple, dyed papers, some golden haired inky caps, and this is a piece of wood. So I'm lucky enough to live near an exotic wood store where I can buy scraps of veneer, and they're quite durable. So I've added paper to the back for journaling and stitched down the sides. So it's just a fun wooden journal card. And then we have a digital page here with beautiful vintage trees. And this is a journal tag that I made. We have a bird here, the doctorelle, and some purple saxifrage. And there's a little, this was made from like a old folder, this black folder, and it has a pocket on front, journaling space on back, and then I've included this lovely kind of forest lore looking playing card. And it's got a crow and kind of this creature and this girl, and he's just sort of adjusting her roses in her hair, and then there's a bunch of little frogs all around them and a bird. A little bit of forest lore. And then this sparkly fun leaf die cut. This is the original sort of first page of the Radiant Tree. A little label that says Bur Oak. And this little tuck spot with a torn tab and a little golden heart on a tree, the little bird. And this is The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. It's a tag. I've stitched some fabric on top. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both, and be one traveler. Long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Some stenciling, a little acorn on the tab there, and more of that illustrated book of trees, and more dyed paper. This is roots. We have these tree roots here and a little yellow leaf. This is another little snippet from the original book. How do you mean? Oh, it seems as if the wind can sway them, but could never break them, and their song rushes through the night. Branches. Then another tab there, rock and cedar elms, hackberry. We have a nice verse here by Joyce Kilmer with some beautiful maple seeds there. I'll leave that to whomever may pick up this journal. Some fun stenciling. This is a digital image of a little shack under a beautiful tree. Northern white cedar. Persimmons. Bit of stamping there. Ivy leaves, and that says leaves, and we have the other side of the tree. More of the dyed and tree ID book, stenciling, and maidenhair. This is the contents page from the original book, and then on this side, this was just a really pretty painting from a book, and I made a pocket out of it to include, this was the original end papers of this old book, and I wanted to include some part of it back in. And this is a little tip out with writing space here. And then at the end of the journal, I just kept it very simple. I added my stamp with a couple little sprigs here, and my signature and the date. So that is the end of the Radiant Tree. As I mentioned, if you're interested in this journal, it will be headed up to my Etsy shop. It should be there now if you're watching this video. So thank you so much for tuning in with me. And I've really enjoyed this tree series. I hope you're doing well, and we will talk again very soon. Bye for now.